Alright, this is chapter 5, lesson 11. You should be in 7th grade if you're watching this. It's called Factoring Trinomials, x squared plus bx plus c. To factor quadratic trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c when b equals 0 and a and c equals 0. When b does not equal 0 and c does not equal 0. So, x squared plus 9x plus 14. The only way that I know how to show you how to do this is to just give you examples. That's the only way I can really explain this to you. So, the first thing that you're going to need to do is draw a t-chart. And in that t-chart, the number that goes right here is going to be 14. And you need to think of two numbers, so it has to be a product of 14, always a product of the last number, and then the sum goes here, the sum of the middle number, so the sum of 9. So product of 14 and the sum of 9. It has to be the same number. So let's think of products of 14. Well, that means that I can be multiplying 14 times 1. But when I add 14 times 1, that gives me 14. But when I add 14 plus 1, that gives me 15. So that does not equal to the sum of 19. So then what about 7 times 2? So 7 times 2 gives me 14. Alright, well, does 7 plus 2 give me 9? Yes. So what you're going to be doing now is factoring means that you are going back to the original equation. When a is 1, when there's not a number in front of that x value right here, all you're going to do is, if you remember before, like what we did a few lessons ago, you had monomials and binomials that were being multiplied to each other. And they look like x plus something times x plus something, or xy plus something plus xy plus something. Well, all you're doing is plugging in the numbers that you get. This is a positive 7, so you're going to put plus 7. This is a positive 2, so you're going to put plus 2. So this is your answer. You're working backwards again. If I were to FOIL it out, I would get x squared. X times x is x squared, plus x times 2 is 2x, plus 7 times x is 7x, plus 7 times 2 is 14, and I would get x squared plus 14x, plus 14x, plus 9x, plus 14. So that means I checked it, I did it right. But this blue part is my answer, that's all I'm asking you to do. So once you find your two numbers, you just plug it in, x plus something, x plus something. Okay, so let's do another example. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is draw your t-chart. You're going to write product of negative 18 because you do the product of the last number, as long as it's in standard form, and then sum of the middle number, which is negative 3. And I put a negative because of the minus sign in front of the 18 that belongs to it. So product of negative 18 and sum of negative 3. It's kind of like a puzzle. This is like a puzzle that we're doing. So I have to think of two numbers that can equal up to negative 18. That can equal up to negative 18 if I'm multiplying them. And if I'm getting a negative number, that means I'm multiplying a positive and a negative. So let's do negative 9 times 2. Negative 9 times 2 equals negative 18. Negative 9 plus 2 gives me negative 7. So that doesn't work. What about negative 6 times positive 3? Negative 6 times 3 gives me negative 18, and negative 6 plus 3 gives me negative 3. So that means I found my two numbers. So now all I have to do is fill it in. The first number that goes here is x. I mean, the first thing you need to fill in is your x's. And then you just copy down the numbers you get. So this will be minus 6. And since that's a positive 3, this will be plus 3. And that's it. That's all you're doing. All right. Let's try another one. Let's do t squared minus 12t plus 20. So the first thing you need to do is draw your t-chart. I actually want you to pause this video and I want you to try this one on your own and see how you do. Alright, so product of 20. I'm going to do, it's a positive, and it could be a positive and times a positive, but you also have to think that there's going to be a sum of negative number. So that means that I need to be doing a negative times a negative, because a negative times a negative will give me a positive, and a negative plus a negative will give me a negative. So that means my product needs to be two negative numbers that will equal 20. I'm going to try 5 times 4. Oops, negative 5 times negative 4 equals negative 20. But negative 5 plus negative 4 does not give me negative 12. It gives me negative 9. Okay, so let's try two other numbers. Negative 10 times negative 2 gives me positive 20. And I just realized I put a negative 20 up there. Positive 20. So then the negative 10 plus negative 2 actually gives me negative 12. So I found out my two numbers, and then I'm just going to use the variable that I have, and I'm going to use t and t, and I'm going to have t, and I have both negatives because it says negative 10, so I'm going to put my minus 10 here, and negative 2. I'm going to put my minus 2 here, and that's it. Okay, so I have one problem that I want you to do, and this is it. Remember, the first thing you need to do is draw that t-chart, and then just fill in everything else. So you'll end up with an answer that looks something like this, with numbers filled in.